Every business eventually faces the same question, which cloud, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Oracle, four giants, four different philosophies, four very different price tags depending on what you're building. The decision you make early on has real consequences: cost, scalability, vendor lock-in, compliance, and the ability to hire engineers who actually know the platform. This isn't a sponsored comparison, it's a plain English breakdown of what each provider does well, where they fall short, and who they're actually built for. The four players: Amazon Web Services, AWS. AWS is the original cloud, launched in 2006. It still holds the largest market share globally and has the most mature ecosystem by a significant margin. If you name a cloud service, AWS almost certainly has it, and probably has three versions of it. Best for startups that want maximum flexibility, enterprises with complex workloads, teams that need access to the widest range of managed services. Strengths: largest service catalog, 200 plus services, best-in-class documentation and community, most mature IAM and security tooling, strongest ecosystem of third-party integrations, global reach, most regions and availability zones. Weaknesses: pricing is notoriously complex and can spiral without careful management. The sheer number of services can be overwhelming for smaller teams. Support costs are high. Business tier starts at 100 or 10% of usage. The honest take: AWS is the safe choice. If you don't know what you need yet, AWS will have it. The trade-off is complexity and cost creep. Google Cloud Platform, GCP. Google built GCP for the same reason it built everything else, to solve Google's own problems at massive scale. The result is a cloud platform that excels at data, machine learning, and Kubernetes workloads. If you're building ML pipelines or processing petabytes, GCP is often the most natural fit. Best for data-heavy companies, ML AI, startups, teams already deep in the Google ecosystem, workspace analytics, etc. Strengths: best-in-class data and analytics, BigQuery is genuinely excellent. Strongest ML AI tooling, Vertex AI, TPUs. Kubernetes was invented at Google. GKE is the reference implementation. Competitive pricing, especially for sustained use discounts, automatic, no commitment, clean, modern console. Weaknesses: smaller service catalog than AWS. Google has a history of killing products. Enterprise trust is still recovering. Smaller community and fewer third-party integrations. Support can be inconsistent. The honest take: GCP is underrated. If your workload involves data or ML, it's often the best technical choice. The trust problem is real, but improving. Microsoft Azure. Azure is the enterprise cloud. Microsoft's existing relationships with companies running Windows Server, Active Directory, and Office 365 gave Azure an enormous distribution advantage. It's the dominant choice in large enterprises and government, particularly in markets like Australia, where Microsoft has deep roots. Best for enterprises running Microsoft workloads, government and regulated industries, hybrid cloud, on-prem plus cloud scenarios. Strengths: best hybrid cloud story, Azure Arc, Azure Stack, deep integration with Microsoft 365, Active Directory teams, strong compliance certifications, including Australian government IRAP, excellent for .NET and Windows workloads, growing ML capabilities, OpenAI partnership. Weaknesses: console UX is notoriously confusing, a running joke in the industry. Pricing is complex and can be unpredictable. Some services feel bolted on rather than natively designed. Performance can lag AWS and GCP for certain workloads. The honest take: if your clients are enterprises already running Microsoft, Azure is often the path of least resistance. For greenfield startups, it's rarely the first choice. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, OCI. Oracle entered the cloud wars late and has been aggressive on pricing to catch up. OCI's free tier is genuinely one of the most generous in the industry, including always free ARM compute instances that are useful for real workloads. Oracle's strength is in database workloads, particularly for companies already running Oracle Database. Best for companies running Oracle Database, price-sensitive workloads, specific high-performance compute use cases. Strengths: extremely competitive pricing, often 50 to 80% cheaper than AWS for equivalent compute. Best performance for Oracle database workloads, unsurprisingly. Generous free tier, 4 ARM cores, 24 gigabytes RAM, always free. Strong bare metal and GPU options. Growing APAC region presence. Weaknesses: smallest ecosystem and community. fewer managed services than competitors, brand association with legacy Oracle sales practices creates enterprise hesitation, limited hiring pool, fewer engineers with OCI experience. The honest take, OCI is worth considering if cost is a primary driver and your team is comfortable with a less mature ecosystem. The free tier alone makes it worth experimenting with. Side-by-side key services. How to choose. Start with your team. The best cloud is often the one your engineers already know. Switching clouds mid-scale is painful and expensive. Follow your data. Data sovereignty and compliance requirements matter, especially in Australia. Check which providers have Australian regions and what certifications they hold. AWS and Azure both have Australian government IRAP approval. Match your workload. Heavy ML, GCP, Oracle Database, OCI, Microsoft, Heavy Enterprise, Azure, everything else, probably AWS. Watch the free tiers. If your pre-revenue OCI and GCP's free tiers are genuinely useful for running production workloads at zero cost, don't optimize for cost too early. The cheapest cloud at prototype stage is rarely the right cloud at scale. Optimize for speed and ecosystem first, the Australian context. For Australian businesses, a few additional considerations apply. Data sovereignty, AWS, Sydney, Azure, Australia East, Southeast, GCP, Sydney, Melbourne all have local regions. OCI has Melbourne, ensure you understand where your data lives. Compliance, government, and healthcare workloads need to check IRAP certifications. Azure and AWS are furthest ahead here. Local support is meaningful for enterprise. Microsoft and AWS both have strong Australian sales and support presences. Talent, more Australian engineers have AWS and Azure experience than GCP or OCI. Factor this into hiring plans. The bottom line, there's no universally best cloud provider. There's only the right one for your specific context. If you're building a new product from scratch with a small team, AWS, Breadth, or GCP if data ML is core. If you're an enterprise on Microsoft Azure, full stop. If you need to run Oracle database workloads or want the cheapest compute, OCI. The good news, all four are genuinely excellent at what they do. The risk isn't choosing the wrong one, it's not choosing deliberately and drifting into a multi-cloud mess that no one on your team understands. Millisec helps Australian businesses make better technology decisions. If you're evaluating cloud infrastructure for your organization, get in touch.